Hi everyone, a warm welcome to Digital Guru 2020 Programmatic Track. I sincerely hope that everyone is well and staying safe and healthy during this time. I'm so glad that you're able to join us wherever you are today to learn more about programmatic. A quick introduction of myself. My name is Hazel, working on the Google Marketing Platforms team. And for the next 3 hours or so, I'll be taking you through what programmatic buying with Google Marketing Platform involves from an access, audience, assets, and measurement standpoint. 2019 was an amazing year for all of us here in Vietnam, where we kicked off our Programmatic Digital Guru track for the very first time. So a very big thank you to all you amazing people who joined us last year. We saw a whopping 137 attendees across 15 agencies. We've also had our publisher teams join us to share more about programmatic opportunities. Programmatic has really grown rapidly in Vietnam since then. And for those of you who are joining us for the very first time on the programmatic track, a warm welcome. By the end of today, what we hope you take out of this session is a greater understanding of Google's programmatic offerings, so as to boost your confidence and ability to consult your clients with basic understanding of programmatic. And of course, above all else, to grow you as an individual in programmatic understanding and to learn more about our latest product updates from a programmatic front. So what is the agenda for today, some of you might ask? First up, for those of you who are new to the concept of programmatic, please don't worry about it. We'll first do a quick introduction of what is programmatic. Then, we'll look into the value that Google Marketing Platform brings, specifically looking into DV360. The platform offerings can really be split into 4 main pillars that matter most to the Vietnam market, specifically in access, audience, assets, and measurement tools on the platform. So we'll look into each of these pillars in detail. And last but not least, please know that there is no such thing as a silly question. We're all here to learn, and if you have any questions at all, please feel free to comment them in the YouTube livestream comment box. I'll try my best to answer each of these questions as we go through the content. And if there are any questions that have yet to be answered, we'll have a separate Google Meet session for a Q&A forum. But before we dive into that, please don't forget to check in. Could I get everyone's help to please go to your web app, go to Progress, View Belt, and put in the code GURU506, and we'll give everyone some time to check in. So first up on the agenda, let's have a quick look into what programmatic essentially is, how it has evolved, and where we are at today. So what is programmatic, you might ask? Programmatic essentially is the use of technology and audience insights to automatically buy and reach audiences in real time. It is a software-based method of buying and transacting media so as to allow advertisers to reach the right users at the right time with the right message. Today, more and more advertisers are recognizing that running across a specific site might not mean that they are reaching out to the right target audiences. In fact, more advertisers are recognizing that in order to run across specific target audiences and scale at the same time, they will need to better leverage data and technology, which brings us to where we're at today from a programmatic front. So the IAB actually published this amazing video that shows how advertising has evolved over the years from direct buying to scalable buying methods with technology. Let's look at how digital advertising has evolved to where we're at today in programmatic.
This is a 2012 guide to the digital display market. To give some perspective, we need to go back to see how media was traded online from the very start. Back then, there was an advertiser, or an agency representing an advertiser, who would buy ad space on a website. The website owner was known as a publisher. The buying and selling of ad space was initially just direct. This ad space was appropriately named inventory. The currency which was created from this inventory was impressions. The advertiser, or agency, bought impressions in the thousands. They then created the ads and filled the space. As time went on, publishers began to create thousands of web pages which led to millions and billions of unsold inventory. This gave rise to a new set of companies called the ad network. The ad network acted as a sales representative or broker, buying unsold or remnant inventory from the publisher. They applied technology, aggregated the audiences, and sold packaged inventory on to the buyer, making it easier for them to target who they wanted. Barriers to entry for the ad networks were relatively low, and after some time an issue arose. There were lots of ad networks. In fact, hundreds of competing business models that were trading inventory in different ways. This made it hard for everyone, as they had to deal with lots of different companies looking for the best price to buy and sell their inventory. It also meant that advertisers could be buying the same audience more than once. There was a desperate need for more efficiency, which gave rise to a brand new business model called the ad exchange. The ad exchange created an opportunity for the buyers and sellers to trade audiences rather than inventory in the thousands. Sellers would make their audiences available on the platform. Buyers could then pick their audience and bid on them. The winner of the bid could now have their ad in front of the right audience at the right time. So, impressions could now be bought in two ways: the ad network, where it was aggregated and packaged up, and the ad exchange, where there was the opportunity to buy a specific audience. Both buy and sell side saw a massive opportunity here to increase efficiency and use technology to help the process of buying and selling. Some agencies created their own proprietary agency trading desk or invested in demand-side platforms, which gave them the ability to trade on the ad exchange efficiently and in real time, using data to influence their decision-making. So, that's the buy side. What about the sell side? Some publishers sold directly on the exchange. Others invested in a group of companies called sell-side platforms, which optimize the selling points for the publisher. The promise of this new workflow is exciting, but let's not forget about the ad network. The ad networks are still a convenient way to buy and sell media. If anything, there's now a new opportunity for them to buy and sell on the ad exchange, leveraging their offering. These systems work with data. The more advertising that is bought through these platforms, the more data is gathered and the more intelligent the systems will become. It's an exciting time. As a marketer, it's important to figure out where you fit and what data you can leverage to take advantage of real-time advertising.
So essentially, when we look at the programmatic landscape, it can really be broken down into this main structure that you see in this slide. and I want to show you a quick industry landscape put together by Loomer Partners. Some of you might have seen this before, and I'm no stranger that today's programmatic landscape actually consists of multiple players in the ecosystem. And at Google Marketing Platform, we pride ourselves as a single stack that links up both advertisers and publishers across both your advertising and marketing tech ecosystems in a streamlined manner. The benefits of working across a single stack is that by having that one single view across all your media buys, you're able to have a better understanding of the advertisers' audiences and work more effectively across teams to deliver faster and smarter advertising campaigns. So you've heard about the demand-side platform in the video just now, what we call the DSP. And I just want to bring your attention to the DSP specifically. In this case, in the Google Marketing Platform stack, the DSP is Display and Video 360, so what we call DV360. So this platform is the main buying platform that links both advertisers and publishers in a single platform, and would allow for advertisers to port in data and scale across various channels, publishers, and networks via the ad exchange. To put into perspective, advertisers can buy programmatic publisher inventory in 4 different buying methods. You see here in the slide, open auction, private auction, preferred deals, and programmatic guarantee. To really understand programmatic inventory, you have to understand the different buying methods. So let's break each one of them down from left to right by level of exclusivity. So first up, you have the open auction, what we also call the open exchange. This is the inventory marketplace where there are hundreds of buyers and a ton of unreserved impressions available at auction pricing. So there is no set or agreed upon CPMs, and advertisers will actually come together to bid with the highest bidder winning the impression. So some of you might be familiar with this buying method with GDN as an example. Second, we have the private auction. It's a little more exclusive than the open exchange. So in this case, there are a selected number of buyers in the private auction, and there is an agreed upon CPM floor price on the deal. So buyers will have to bid above the set floor price to win impressions. After the private auction, you have the preferred deal, a level higher and a little more exclusive than the private auction. So preferred deals in this case are actually one-to-one deals, meaning one advertiser to one publisher. So in the case of preferred deals, there is typically a fixed price. However, for this deal, you are not contracted to buy a specific amount of impressions. That is, you're not exactly reserving a set amount of impressions with preferred deals. And that's where we actually go to the next deal type, which is programmatic guaranteed deals. So programmatic guaranteed deals is actually very similar to your traditional direct deals with publishers, except, of course, with the benefits that the platform actually brings. It is a one-to-one advertiser to publisher deal, and there is a fixed price and an agreed upon impression amount that the advertisers are all expected to buy. So hence the name guaranteed. You must guarantee that the advertisers will buy all the reserved impressions that were agreed upon. In DV360, PG deals can be executed via a tagless integration with the publisher. And then last but not least, we have the tag-based IO. So the tag-based IO is actually very similar to your programmatic guaranteed deal, your PG deal. It is a one-to-one guaranteed fixed price deal as well. But in this case, from an implementation standpoint, traders on the platform will actually need to export a tag via DV360 and send it to the publisher to execute. So now that we've gotten to the basics of what is programmatic and the different programmatic buying methods, I want to actually bring your attention to the 4 main DV360 pillars we'll be covering in today's session. So we'll talk about access and how DV360 allows you to consolidate your different inventory types and effectively plan, buy, and measure across these inventory types. And after the break, we'll come back to understand more about audiences on DV360. What audience tools are available for you to leverage on, the different kind of audience types like first, second, and third party audience segments on DV360. We'll then talk about assets. More specifically, what are the different creative types available on the platform? What are some of the bespoke creatives available on the platform as well? And last but not least, having all these are wonderful, but we also need to understand what are the different reports available on the platform that will allow you to plan, optimize your campaigns, and measure success. Alright, so let's first start off with access. In order to connect to your desired audience, we need to first know where to find them and how to reach them. User engagement as we know it is getting more and more complicated. And we know this is because of proliferation of technology. There are different networks, different publishers, and different devices that our users are on. People are using different websites and apps for different things and at different times on different devices. And the thing is, advertisers and agencies are actually recognizing this. In response, what happens is we plan and buy across multiple publishers and networks and end up buying across multiple platforms as well. So what makes DV360 special in today's digital landscape? So DV360 actually has access to all these major exchanges in the market that you see on this slide. It allows you to access major local publishers and ad networks all in a single platform. And beyond that, you also get to access Google owned and operated inventory via Google Display Network, which is what we call edX. You also get to access YouTube and Gmail inventory in conjunction with your local publisher buys. So some of you might actually ask, what is the benefits of consolidating all these different inventories all in a single platform? We'll talk a little more about it later on when we showcase the plan, buy, and measure capabilities on DV360. But on top of the different publishers you can access on DV360, advertisers can also run across various formats on the platform, including native, audio, connected TV, beyond your standard display, video, and YouTube formats. So we'll break down access into three different parts here. We'll break it down into plan, buy, and measure. We'll look at how DV360 actually allows you to plan, buy, and measure across your different cross-channel media campaigns. Over my time at Google, I've seen how products have evolved to serve ad users like yourself and myself, especially to create more robust media planning. That's why I'm especially excited to talk about our newly launched plan tool on DV360. So I know that media planning is really an art and science, and I think the media planners in the room would definitely agree with that. The truth is, correctly leveraging the technology available can really help us with media planning. Historically in Vietnam, a big part of media planning involved direct buys and selecting the right publishers. As we mentioned earlier, the rapid development of technology has made this slightly more complicated. We now have to combine technology with data and use media as part of the fuel and fire to deliver a successful campaign. An advertiser or client would generally know who they want to reach out to, that is from an audience perspective, how they want to actually buy buy across those audiences, that is what kind of buy types they want to engage with, and to some extent where they want to actually have their ads appear across, which is what sites or channel they want to be appearing across. Putting all of these together, it can really be a daunting task to provide potential reach numbers, especially across all these multiple channels, balance budgets, and calculate where to invest and how. So the plan tool on DV360 provides an intuitive and agnostic self-service media planning experience that allow advertisers and planners like yourself to forecast the amount of reach they advertisers will be able to get across their target audiences and formats, given a specific campaign budget and timeline. Where you can find the plan workshop on DV360, you might ask. You can actually find it under advertiser level. You will be able to select for the plan option under inventory, or for any existing campaign, you can actually see it under campaign level. On the left hand side panel, you would see the plan option under inventory. So let's dive into what you can actually currently do in the DV360 plan workspace. I'm sure most of you will be quite excited to hear what is currently possible in the plan work tool and what we're actually expecting in the plan tool in the near future. Today on DV360, we have a dedicated planner user role available on the platform that will allow for media planners to access the Reach planning tool on DV360. We understand that there are specific roles and responsibilities within the agencies, and traders do not necessarily actually want users to go in and accidentally change campaign settings, right? So the planner role would allow media planners to plan on the platform without having write access and impacting live or upcoming campaign setups. In conjunction to the plan workspace, the inventory discovery tool on DV360 allows for you to discover publishers or inventory types that aligns with site content or category your campaign is looking to run across. So the inventory discovery in plan actually centers around the marketplace tool on DV360, which I think is a pretty familiar publisher discovery tool for all of you DV360 users. So with the marketplace or the inventory discovery tool, users can search for publishers and inventory that fit into the needs of their specific campaigns using the filters on the right that you can see on the slide. So bringing a view of the marketplace into plan actually means that users can search for inventory unique to the campaign they're planning. And planners can select publishers in bulk and add them to the plan with assigned budgets or send a request for proposal directly from the marketplace view. So we understand that a lot of advertisers are actually moving towards audience-based buying, right? So the plan workspace actually wants to help support advertisers in that venture. The plan workspace will enable you to explore how combinations of Google, first-party and third-party audiences will impact reach for your display and video campaigns. And actually beyond audiences, there is a full range of targeting combinations you can explore when planning your campaign and understand how these different combinations of targeting would impact forecasted reach numbers. So you can see the different options for combinations on the right hand side when you go into the planning tool. And one very, very exciting launch just a few weeks ago is the ability to not just access different inventory channels on DV360, but also forecast deduplicated reach across these different inventory channels. The plan tool on DV360, I'm very excited to announce this, is actually going to provide advertisers with deduplicated unique reach forecasts across YouTube, open auction, display, and video inventory. Taking the example that you see on this slide over here, we have a planned campaign across open auction display, TrueView in-stream, and TrueView bumper formats. As you can see here, given the parameters I've included in campaign settings, the unique reach forecasted for each of these formats is 6.11 mil, 4.95 million, and 6.44 million respectively. If you add them up manually, that actually gives you a total of 17.5 million. However, if we look at the unique reach number on the top left-hand corner, after taking into account duplication, the deduplicated forecasted unique reach number would have been 13.8 million. So it's a pretty cool launch where you can actually see deduplicated reach numbers across your different channels that you're buying across. In addition to being able to forecast the total reach of a YouTube and open auction video and display campaign within Display and Video 360, advertisers will also have the added ability to forecast on-target reach number That is, it will help you understand how many people within the target demographic you can expect to reach for a given campaign budget, targeting, and flight. And when all of that is all said and done, you can then export the media plan as a CSV file directly with your forecasted numbers and campaign settings to share it directly with your clients or your execution teams directly. Now, this tool is really a step into using technology to aid the daunting task of media planning, especially in this growing, complex, fragmented digital media buying world. What more can we expect from the tool in the near future? I think that is some of the questions that has been on some of the media planners' minds. First up, what will be coming is actually the ability to actually break down subgeos. Currently, the media plan tool, the plan tool on DV360 actually provides forecasts from a cumulative market Vietnam level. And I know that a lot of advertisers in Vietnam specifically are actually looking to understand forecasted reach by subgeos, by provinces or by specific cities in Vietnam. So this is a major ask that we're looking forward to launch on the plan tool. Now, another interesting one would be the ability to harness past campaign learnings in media planning. So media planning really differs from a brand-to-brand perspective, right? Which is why we have different teams planning for different brands. The idea is that different brands have different objectives and learnings from your past campaigns. So the idea is, how then can we actually bring these different learnings, the relevant learnings and recommendations to inform future campaign planning? Last but not least, the click to execute function. Everything on the platform is aimed at using technology to make sure that workflow is streamlined. And that includes allowing for teams to easily convert your media plans on the platform that you've planned on the planning tool, on the plan tool, to IOs and line items ready to launch with a click of the button. With that, I believe that's a good segue for us to shift to the next part of the conversation around access. And that would be buying different kind of inventory access through DV360. What are some of the best practices or tools that would be good for the teams to actually keep in mind when buying different inventory channels through DV360? So as mentioned before, during the start of this session, DV360 actually allows you to access multiple publishers and channels across various formats, enabling for advertisers to actually scale across the market to reach the right users at the right time with the right formats. And traditionally, what a lot of advertisers have actually been doing is trying to reach out to these users across multiple different buys in a fragmented manner, either buying directly with different publishers all at one go, or across multiple platforms. So they try to reach out to users with different platforms as well as channels. The problem with this is that it actually creates inefficiencies, not just in workflow processes, in terms of reaching out to multiple platforms or multiple channels for a single campaign, but also an inability to manage your buys across the different platforms. What do we mean by that? What it really is inefficient overlaps happening across the board. Have you ever experienced a time where you actually see multiple, brand messaging, an overwhelming amount of brand messaging across your devices and your screens? Imagine what it will look like in a world where we can actually manage that frequency across different channels, inventory, and devices. We can possibly manage the amount of time a single user actually sees your ad messaging across multiple devices and channels to the most optimal amount of brand messaging that a user actually needs to be impacted. And DV360 actually allows you to have that ability to manage frequency across your various local publishers and across your YouTube and your non-YouTube inventory. Beyond the benefits that comes in frequency management when you buy multiple channels in a single platform, there's also the value in measurement when you consolidate your buys into a single platform. What do we mean by measurement in this case? So for one, DV360 actually allows you to measure cumulative reach across multiple channels and inventory types. Instead of getting one report from publisher A and a second report from publisher B, and then a third report, on YouTube reach from Google Ads, for example, DV360 actually allows you to pull a cumulative reach report across these three different channels, across your YouTube as well as your non-YouTube buys, as long as these buys are consolidated into the single platform DV360. And on top of that, most recently launched is the Programmatic Guaranteed Savings Report. I think this report is somewhat quite new to some of you, so let's actually, dive into what this report actually is. With this report, advertisers will be able to see the amount of impressions passed by a programmatic guaranteed deal, so the amount of impressions that you pass with your guaranteed reservation deal, and B, it also gives you clarity on the amount of budget that you've saved by passing these impressions on and reinvesting these amount of impressions to achieve higher reach on the programmatic guaranteed reservation deal. So these two metrics, your programmatic guaranteed impression pass due to frequency, and the second being programmatic guaranteed savings reinvested due to frequency, will be available under standard report on DV360. So just a quick recap, you've seen now that you're able to access both YouTube as well as non-YouTube on DV360. And when we talk about non-YouTube, this includes your open auction display and video buy, and also your local publishers and ad network buys, all through a single platform. We've seen how the plan tool on DV360 not only allows you to forecast deduplicated reach across different inventory as well as channels, it also allows you to explore how reach would be impacted by your different targeting set on the campaign. We've also seen how, efficiencies can really be driven by frequency managing across your different buys through a single platform. Last but not least, we've also seen how DV360 have measurement tools in place that will allow you to not just, measure cumulative unique user reach across different inventory types as well as channels, but also allow you to see how much savings have been generated due to impressions that have been passed with programmatic guaranteed deals frequency management. And with that, we'll take a quick break, and after the break, we'll come back to look into audience specifically, what kind of audience types are available on DV360, what kind of creative types are also available on DV360, and in detail, what kind of measurement tools, measurement reports available on DV360 that will allow you to plan, optimize, as well as measure success on the platform. So welcome back from the break. Before the break, we looked into access, specifically how we can plan, buy, and measure different inventory types on DV360. Now, let's look into how we can leverage different audience segments on DV360, how we can define your audience segments, and how we can then leverage the different audience types on DV360. And then we will look into the different creative types and measurement capabilities in DV360. So you've heard that programmatic actually allows you to reach out to the right users at the right time. But what capabilities are available on DV360 that would allow you to target these specific audiences? Let's dive into the specificities of this. So we're all seeing ads every day as consumers, right? But think about it. How many of them are exactly relevant to you? Advertisers are looking to speak to the right consumers, and the role of planners today have also shifted to find these right audiences for the brand's campaigns. And this is even more apparent in today's digital era, right? Where us as consumers, we don't just go online, but we literally live online. 1 minute we are on a news site, and then another minute we're actually looking at a shopping site, and the next we're actually on a travel site looking for our next travel destination. So as social beings, we really live online. And because of this, reaching out to the right audiences for advertisers these days can be really difficult. The crucial question has always been, how do we actually reach out to these audiences, which is most ideal for your advertiser? And most importantly, how do we reach out to these audiences at scale without actually wasting, your brand's media budget? Despite this complexity, advertisers' goals have not actually changed that much. It's really about reaching the right audience at scale and at the most efficient and cost-efficient way. So therefore, actually tapping on real-time audience insights across channels and devices allow us to move towards more precise audience targeting and enable our ads to be more relevant to the targeted pool of audience. The dream of all advertisers out there is really not just to stay relevant, but also reach out to these users across devices and also different channels, therefore actually staying on top of mind for audiences at scale. So what are some of the considerations as a planner? What are some of the considerations that would enable you to choose who is the right audience you should target for your next media plan? First is really identifying what data signals are available at your reach. So, and then after that, we define who your target audiences are. And following that, reach them at the right consumer journey stage. Before we look at understanding who your target audiences are, let's get to know the different type of audience targeting available for you on DV360. So first up, I think we need to understand what are the wide range of audience targeting types available through DV360. This really ranges from your first-party audiences, Google audiences, to third-party audiences. So I understand that, some of these terms, first-party audiences, third-party audiences, they are pretty new to some of you in the session. So let's quickly review how we actually define the different types of data. And we'll then look into, an elaborate breakdown of what is available on the platform on DV360 from a first party, third party, and Google audience standpoint on DV360. So first party audience data segments, what are they exactly? First party audience data segments, they are essentially your advertisers' owned data, the brand owned data, the most bespoke audience data that a brand can actually own. It's really the most valuable audience data that any brand can have because no competitor out there would have access to the brand's own CRM or media activity data. It's really only the brand who has it. So it's actually what we call really the most valuable data out there for any brand. Second party data, in this case, second party data, an example here is your Google data or Google audience data. These are essentially someone else's first party data. So like at the example I gave you just now, Google audiences is actually Google's own first party data. So that is actually what we consider second party data for advertisers, because those are audiences that Google actually enable advertisers to reach out to on the platform. Third party audiences, these are actually aggregated database that are based off third party data providers. They are actually provided and sold by that third party data providers out there, such as Bluekai as well as IOTA, for example. Now, I want to look into first party data segments specifically and what is currently available on DV360 from a first party data standpoint. So as a reminder, first party data is really anything your advertiser actually owns as their own data about their consumers. And there are a number of types of different first party data available on DV360 specifically. First of it is really what we call floodlight tag remarketing audience data. So floodlight tag remarketing audience data is any pixels that has already been placed on your advertiser's site. And then audience segments are then collected via that pixel. So that's what we call a floodlight tag remarketing first party audience data. Then there is DMP audiences. So if your advertiser actually uses a DMP like Crux, Salesforce, or Adobe to actually collect and maintain audience lists, you can actually push those segments directly into DV360 to activate. Next, we have CRM audiences. So I think this is very popular among brands. So brands usually they actually collect users based on loyalty programs, for example. And these CRM audiences can really be onboarded either via a third-party onboarder or the custom-made solution on DV360. Once you've onboarded this CRM audiences, you can then activate it on DV360. And last but not least, we have Analytics 360 audiences. So Analytics 360, if your client is actually using Analytics 360 on their website, these audiences that they've collected via Analytics 360 can be segmented on Analytics 360, J360, and then pushed seamlessly into DV360 for activation. And then, of course, there is also campaign activity audiences. Now, I want to spend some time to talk about campaign activity-based audiences specifically. So campaign activity audiences allows you to actually create audiences of users who have previously engaged with your campaigns. So this is any user who have actually interacted with your advertising campaigns. For example, users who have subscribed to your YouTube channel, users who have viewed videos on your YouTube channel, or even any user who have clicked on your local publisher ad or clicked onto your display or video ad, for example. We can essentially collect these audiences as first-party audience segments, and then later on in a future campaign or in the same campaign, you can then remarket to individuals who have previously engaged with your campaigns, or exclude users who you've collected who have previously engaged with your campaign. So you can actually really collect these audiences and create these audiences via campaign-based activity audiences. We will look into an example later on, and there is a video to actually show you how we can actually create this audience on the platform. Now, next, we also spoke about the ability to port DMP audiences into DV360. From a DMP standpoint, on DV360, we are actually integrated with over 25 different DMPs. I've given some examples over here on the right. So if your advertiser actually uses a DMP, there is a self-service function on DV360 that will allow you to whitelist the DMP with your advertiser on DV360. Once the DMP is actually whitelisted, you can then push the audience segments over to DV360 directly from your DMP. So beyond the ability to actually leverage advertisers' first-party data, advertisers also have exclusive access to Google Audiences on DV360. So I know some of you are very familiar with Google Audiences, especially if you use Google Ads. But I just want to focus for a second on what makes, Google Audiences so special. And that really is our Google data segments being powered by our Google properties. So you're familiar with Chrome, Google Play, Gmail, Android, YouTube, etc. So signals from all these different properties about where users actually spend their time, what they browse, what they watch, etc. actually powers our proprietary data sets like our affinity as well as our Google in-market audience segments. So here's a deeper dive into some of the Google audience data types available on DV360, which some of you might already be familiar with on Google Ads. So there is no difference in that. There is the Google demographic segments. So these are, your Google demo data that allows you to actually reach your target age groups as well as your gender groups. And secondly, you have your Google affinity data. So these are segments that will allow you to reach people based on, specific interests. For example, they might have an interest in travel, they are family oriented, or they are interested in beauty in general, for example. The third here is really Google in-market segments. So these are actually segments that will allow you to reach people who are interested in purchasing a specific category online. I know I'm not actually indicated right over here, but we also have Google Custom Intent as well as Custom Affinity Audiences available on DV360 as well. Alright, so last but not least, we have third-party audience providers. You can actually target a wide variety of third-party data segments within DV360. So we are connected with over hundreds of data providers. And you'll be able to actually use these third-party data providers if you're not able to find segments within our Google Affinity as well as in-market segments that fit your needs. So let's say you completely understand what are the different signals available on DV360, what are the different data types available on DV360, but you have no idea who your audiences are. So how do we go about defining, who your audiences are when we haven't actually started collecting first-party data or only have a limited quantity of first-party data for our advertiser? So one way we would actually recommend starting off is beginning a campaign and trying to reach out to as much new users as possible using very broad targeting such as demographic targeting to spread your desired message. In this way, you would automatically increase the pool of first-party data that you collect, not just on your platform, but also on your advertiser's website. Then after you've actually collected all these audience segments, I'd like to actually also introduce to you the DV360 Audience Profile Analysis tool. So this is a very exciting tool. Some of you might have already, played around with the tool, but the Audience Profile Analysis tool essentially is a tool that will allow you to uncover, insights about your advertisers and find new audiences that would provide incremental reach on your campaigns. So you can actually select a seed audience, which is a first-party list, and the tool will essentially show you what other first-party or Google audience or third-party audiences that overlaps against that segment. So this is really a great tool for audience profiling. Say, for example, you have a beauty product, and what you have found is that your beauty product users are also interested in fashion or are dog lovers, for example, or they're interested in award shows. So you can then use these insights that you've generated from your audience profile analysis tool and target those additional segments to find audiences that are also likely to act like your first party audiences and convert. So leveraging on signals and defining who your target audiences are great, but that's not the end of the story just yet. It's not quite enough just yet. We'll actually need to match this based on the consumer journey stage to actually reach out to the right audiences at the right time. With our strong understanding of user behavior and intent, our audience product suite is actually built to engage with users across the consumer journey. So let's just start off from the upper stages of your consumer journey. From an awareness standpoint, you have your demographics broad segments based on the facts that we've collected on users' age as well as gender. We're continuing to expand demographics offerings across channels so you can actually reach out to your audiences based on these broad audience segments to drive awareness. And from an interest and habit standpoint, we have your interests as your interest segments. And these are really based on users' frequent behaviors and habits, and they're really tailored for you to reach out to your users who are considering or have actually shown interest in a specific segment or category, but have probably not yet have an intent for a specific brand product just yet. And then last but not least, moving on to the lower funnels, we have our intent or action-driven audiences, which are first-party audience data segments related, for example. So these are really based on people making purchase decisions right now. They're actively searching for these products. So we offer live events or predefined as well as advertiser-defined audience segments, such as your first-party audience segments, where you can actually reach out to users who you've definitely engaged with, or users who have definitely engaged with your brand, and really have shown interest by going to your website, actually clicking on a specific button like add to cart button on your website, for example. Now, I just want to take this opportunity to bring you guys through an example here, so that we can actually bring the audience tool and the audience module on DV360 to life. How do we leverage on the audience module tools on DV360 with a real life, example, a media planning example? So we have, imagine, Cindy as a buyer at a major media agency. In this example, she actually works on an account of a well-known automotive brand, what we call Electric Drive. Cindy knows that a good starting point is really people who have already shown interest in Electric Drive. So she accesses the audience module tool on DV360 and looks into activity-based audience builder on DV360, which actually allows her to build audiences from a number of campaign metrics such as impressions, clicks, and conversions. She then goes on to create a new audience using campaign activity audience segment builder. While creating it, she filters down to a specific campaign under the advertiser, and she specifies the consumers who clicked on an ad from a prior campaign. But finding the right audience is more than just looking at those who have responded to prior advertising campaigns, right? Cindy knows that there is also a lot of potential value in the group of audiences or group of people, group of users who have visited Electric Drive's website. And these audiences can be easily created on Analytics 360, on GA360, and then ported into DV360 easily. By just a few clicks. So we can see here that Cindy has already ported over the GA360 audiences onto DV360, and she can see the GA360 audiences on her audience module on DV360. Now that Cindy has built and ported these first-party audience segments, she wants to then, explore more audiences through analysis and understand who her advertiser target audiences are from a Google affinity as well as a Google in-market segment standpoint. And to do so, Cindy can easily use the audience profile analysis tool to understand which audience segments both from external partner standpoint and Google audience standpoint, which are the audience segments that overlaps with her seed first party audience segments. Let's see how she actually does it on the platform. In this case, you can see that Cindy actually finds out that from a Google audience standpoint, the group of people that met her criteria or her target audiences from her seed first party audience segments are also passionate about camping and happen to be mostly female. So in just a few clicks, she's actually done this analysis using her first party audience segments. And now she can turn the analysis into an actual audience pool ready to use for her prospecting campaign. So she does that by choosing the audiences that overlap the most, yet has enough unique users to create a new audience segment. So let's see how Cindy actually uses, the audience profile analysis tool, audience segments that she sees, and turn that into a new audience segment that she can target on her prospecting campaign. Now, the audience for the campaign is ready, and Cindy wants to make sure she's setting the right frequency cap. So today, we can actually set frequency cap at the campaign level, insertion order level, as well as the line item level. I'm also happy to actually introduce to you the audience frequency cap. So this is also part of the audience module where you can actually create frequency cap audiences and set frequency cap across campaigns as well as across brands. So let's say you have multiple brands within a specific advertiser. What you can essentially do is create a frequency cap audience and exclude that from exclude your frequency cap audience of brand A from brand B so that there is lesser overlap between the two brands. So that is possible. If you're running multiple campaigns all at the same time, you can essentially also use audience frequency cap and reduce the potential overlaps in audience across your multiple campaigns. So for example, in this case, you can create an audience frequency cap audience of 5, and we won't serve more than 5 ads to consumers across the specific campaigns where you have excluded this audience frequency cap audience segments. In this example, you can see that Cindy will use the same activity-based audience builder that she has used before to set up the frequency cap audience segment. So let's see how she actually does that. Alright, so this will essentially help you to reach more consumers with the exact message instead of reaching the same ones with different messages. So essentially, it will allow you to reduce overlap and with the amount of impressions that you save, drive incremental reach. Now, audience frequency cap tool actually works across your video and display campaigns, whether be it your programmatic guaranteed deals or open auction buys, including different devices, different screens, as well as different channels. Soon, what we do hope is that the audience frequency cap tool will also work across your YouTube TrueView ads. A quick recap of what we've covered from an audience standpoint. Today, we've seen how complex our digital consumers' behaviors have become. And it's no longer the case where we run across only one site and hope to reach our target audiences entirely. Media buying has really shifted to an audience-based approach. And that is also expected from our media planners to incorporate data and look at media planning from an audience-based standpoint. The possibilities of reaching out to the right users at the right time have now become possible with the ability to analyze your advertisers' first-party data and target your first-party, third-party, and Google audience on DV360. Now, let's move on to the creative module and look into what kind of creative types are available on DV360. So you've heard that 70% of a campaign's performance is really down to, creative messaging. Now, beyond the ability to actually reach out to multiple inventory channels and the ability to leverage on different data types and different, audience segments, you might actually ask what is actually available from a creative front on DV360. Alright, so here are some of the creative types found in DV360. As you can see, there are many different types of creatives available on the platform, really ranging from standard display banners to custom high-impact formats to in-stream video or native video, native display kind of formats. This list that you see here on the slide is actually non-exhaustive. You can look at the full list of creatives available on DV360 through the sites that we actually place on the top right-hand corner on richmediagallery.com/formats. I want to actually, however, bring your attention to some of the bespoke creative formats that you might not already know available on DV360. Beyond, your standard display, video, and YouTube formats, there are actually a lot of bespoke creative formats available on DV360 that you can look into. First up, we have Flipbook creative format. So Flipbook is actually an outstream video format that plays only when the ad is visible and the user is actually scrolling. It gets the user's interest and attention by pairing the video play with how the user scrolls and it teases with motion experience in both your forward and backward directions of the video when a user scrolls up and down. So when a user scrolls up, the video actually goes backwards, and when the user actually scrolls down, the video actually goes forward. The second is what we have here in terms of parallax format. Parallax is a scroll-based display experience built in Google Web Designer, and this can really be ported into DV360 directly from Google Web Designer. Parallax is captivating in a way because it actually creates the perception of depth, which comes from having multiple images put on top of one another and having the images move at slightly different speeds, all paired again with the user scroll. So parallax ads can really be built with any number of creative layers on Google Web Designer and can be fully customized via Google Web Designer. Last but not least, there is also the 3D swivel ad, which I think a lot of teams have found interest with, and this is actually currently in beta on DV360. So the 3D swivel ad is an immersive display format designed for mobile web, and it is actually available exclusively on DV360. What users can explore is, every angle of the product in the ad unit by rotating the 3D object in all directions. They can also zoom in and out to create a richer and more immersive experience than a standard display unit. Swivel ad, the 3D swivel ad, must be built within Google Web Designer. So it can't actually be built in DV360. You have to actually build it on Google Web Designer. And then later upload it or sync it, port it directly to DV360. It would also require a 3D asset. So advertisers can actually consider repurposing an existing 3D format, a 3D asset, or building a new one. We have a couple of recommended 3D asset providers if advertisers actually need one. So feel free to reach out if you know that your advertiser is interested in this format and they want to actually build a 3D asset swivel ad on DV360. So beyond the bespoke formats, standard formats like your standard animated banners and videos, native formats like I mentioned before are also available on DV360. Here you can see 3 examples of different standard display formats that can be built directly on DV360. You have the cue card here, which is a 3-frame display creative that allows for users to swipe vertically up and down to see the next frames across this 3-frame format. You also have the panorama format. So it is very similar to QCard, also a 3-frame display creative, but in this case, it actually allows for users to swipe horizontally left and right to move between the frames. And then we also have standard blank slate creatives, which allows you to build various versions of a data-driven creative. So you can actually, vary your creative messaging with this blank slate creative format on DV360. On the right-hand side, you see native creative formats, which essentially are creatives that blend into the makeup of a site. So all these beautiful creatives that you see here can really be built on the Add Canvas workspace on the Creative tab on DV360. So a quick summary on creatives, DV360 is really not just concerned with inventory access or data segmentation alone. A large part of the conversation around DV360 also involves creatives. And as shown in today's session, there is a large range of creatives available on DV360 for selection. So advertisers can really explore and build a full range of creatives on DV360. All right, so let's go into the last segment of today's session, and that is on measurement. A lot of users actually think of measurement and reports only from a post-campaign measure of success perspective. But reporting can really be used not just from a measure of success, it can also be used for optimization as well as planning purposes. So I just want to bring your attention to 3 types of reporting that we've kind of bucketed the different reporting types on DV360 into 3 buckets for simplicity's sake. So first, you have planning reports. So your inventory availability reports and audience composition report really falls into this category. These reports are reports that can be used for campaign planning purposes prior to your campaign launch to understand inventory avails and what kind of audiences we should be really looking at for your campaigns. And then second, you have your audience performance report, which takes a deep dive into how well the various audience lists are performing or scaling. And last but not least, you have your campaign performance report, which gives us a performance overview and performance data for your live campaigns. This can really be, in terms of general media metrics, category performance, or even keyword performance, and so on. So let's look into planning reports for a start. We have inventory availability reports. These are reports that will allow you to filter based on various targeting and inventory related settings to help you predict the overall scale of the campaign that you're looking to run from an available impressions perspective across your non-YouTube display and video buys. So specifically, what it means is that how much inventory you would essentially get by running across the specific targeting set on an open exchange display or video campaigns, for example. Then we have your TrueView inventory availability report. The TrueView inventory availability report is very much similar to the standard inventory availability report. But in this case, it helps you to predict the overall scale of a campaign from an available impressions perspective across the YouTube environment. So across your different TrueView formats. Then we also have the floodlight composition report, which is a report for your floodlight pixels. If you recall, during our audience segment, we spoke a little bit about the floodlight pixels. These are pixels that you would place on your advertiser's website. And essentially, the floodlight composition report will indicate for the specific pixels that you have placed on the website, if there's enough traffic going through that specific site or that specific page where you've placed your floodlight pixel. Last but not least, we have the audience composition report. The audience composition report measures the potential overlap and match ratio between the users on your first-party audience list to the users on a third-party audience list. So what it shows you is who your sample seed first-party audience segments are from a third-party audience standpoint lens. Now, closely related to your planning reports is your audience performance report. You would like to know, ideally who your high-performing audience segments are, and that is what your audience performance report helps you with. The audience performance reports actually breaks down the audiences your campaigns has been running across into your Google audience and third-party audience segments. And it measures how each of these audiences have performed specifically. Last but not least, we have the campaign performance report. So the campaign performance report can be used not just to serve as a measure of success, but it also helps from an optimization standpoint on the platform. So first up, you have the standard basic report, which essentially has your necessary metrics to identify quick and relevant action points you can use to improve campaign performance. So with this report, you can actually look into which specific devices, URLs, or even site categories that is performing well or not well, and directly use these insights to optimize your campaign performance. Another report that I like to bring to your attention is the keyword performance report. So this report looks at all the keywords you've targeted and looks into the performance of each specific keyword, enabling for you to have deeper level optimizations from a keyword targeting perspective. Alright, so that was all from a measurement standpoint for today's Digital Guru Greenbelt session. So let's have a quick look back on what we've covered in today's session. We first looked at access, where we dived into cross-channel inventory access available through DV360 and how you can leverage the benefits of cross-channel inventory access from a plan, buy, and measure perspective. Then, we looked into the different audience types available on DV360, how you can port your first-party audience, for example, onto the platform and analyze these audience segments alongside your Google and your third-party data in order to scale and reach out to incremental users. Looking at creators specifically, we then looked at a wide range of creator types available for advertisers on DV360 across both standard and bespoke creative types. And last but not least, from a measurement standpoint, we had a quick look into the different reports available on DV360 that will allow us to better plan, gain audience insights, and not just provide a measure of success, but use the reports to drive optimization on the platform. Before we end off, I have some quick test questions to test your engagement across all the different programmatic modules. I have 3 very simple questions that I like to ask everyone in the live stream. And the first person to actually answer each of these questions will get a prize each. So this first person will just need to send their answer to the question to the alias that we air below, and will notify you over email if you are the winner to the question. All right, very simple. 3 quick questions. All right. So the first question is: you have an advertiser that wants to promote their product on other digital channels beyond just YouTube, but the head of marketing does not really have the time to negotiate with each individual vendor. You suggest a programmatic approach. So what rationale would you provide in this case to the head of marketing? So in this case, there can be more than one answers. Select all the answers that would actually apply. So A, we have programmatic is a great fit because the advertiser will not need to manually tailor ad creatives for each buying platform and audience. B, programmatic is a great fit because programmatic only includes display and video, which are the advertiser's main channels. And C, programmatic is a great fit because the advertiser will not need to do one-on-one negotiation with each platform through programmatic. And D, programmatic is a great fit because it will lead to easier cross-channel measurement for the advertiser. All right, so choose all those that would apply. There can be more than one answer in this case. Now, second question. The head of marketing understand this now. They understand the benefits that programmatic can offer, and now wants to actually explore the programmatic approach in their next campaign. He's actually evaluating different platforms. So which of the following is a benefit of Google Marketing Platform that you would then present to the head of marketing for him or she to understand? All right, A. Google Marketing Platform provides a single unified buying solution across ad serving, tag management, analytics, and more, including non-Google and Google exclusive inventory. B. Google Marketing Platform also includes the full offering of Google Ads, so the advertiser will have no reason to use Google Ads after switching. C. Advertisers must use all solutions, Display and Video 360, Search Ads 360, Data Studio, and more in order to use Google Marketing Platform. So choose which answer is the best answer in terms of the benefit of Google Marketing Platform. All right, last question now. Third question. Next, you and the client need to agree on the audience and who the ads should reach. Which of the following targeting strategies, we spoke a little about this during the audience module on your customer journey stage. So which of the following targeting strategies could be the right fit for a broad-based awareness campaign? So you have A, custom intent and customer match audiences. B, in-market and similar audiences. C, affinity, custom affinity and demographic audiences. And D, demographic and in-market audiences. All right, so please send your answers to the link below, and we'll pick the first answer, the first person who actually answers each of these questions. And you will get notified over email if you are the first person, and we'll actually send the prize over to you. All right, so last part of this, to close off, I want to really end off with this note. For some of you, programmatic might be very new, a new way of buying, a new way of transacting, and a new way of actually planning. But very much like riding a bike, the notion of incorporating programmatic and DV360 will be very foreign, and I'm sure it'll be very foreign to begin with. But I urge for you to begin with a starting point in mind. And with some tries, I believe that programmatic gets easier and becomes second nature after a while. With that, we've come to the end of Digital Guru Programmatic Green Belt. Thank you so much for tuning in live to today's session. And as mentioned before, please feel free to join the Q&A session in the Google Meets link. If you have any questions that have yet to be answered in the live stream, please join that chat, that Q&A forum. And if you have any actually other questions that you think of on programmatic after this session, please feel free to reach out to your Google account manager, and they will be able to actually direct you to the right direction. That's it. Thank you for your attention today, and stay safe, stay healthy, and have a great week ahead.